Week 1, June 23rd to June 28th, new NEW 4 X and Y intercepts guided video tutorial. So, over 5. For this is the second method on graphing lines. The first method we saw in the last video tutorial, graphing using points. We picked 3 or 5 points and we ended up with a line. This we're going to pick 3 points. 2 are going to be special points. They're going to be the intercepts, or points where the line hits the axes, so the x-axis and the y-axis. If you think about what it means to intercept something, interception in football is when the team grabs the ball or catches the ball when the other team is trying to. That's a very layman's term, or layman's description of it, but it'll do. So if we look at just a little bit of note taking for this, and you're still a little bit confused about what I mean by x-intercept or y-intercept or just intercept in general, okay? If we look at the x and y axis, we know that the x-axis is the one that I'm darkening here. And if I'm looking at any given line, the x-intercept is going to be where that line hits that axis. So in this case, the x-axis. The way we would find that intercept is by letting y equal to be 0. Yes, it is exactly the opposite of what you would think. If we want to find the x-intercept, we actually let y equal 0. So very similarly, if we want to find the y-intercept, and again, that's talking about where it hits the y-axis, the axis that I'm darkening right now. Very similar line that I'm drawing. It's going to be where it hits that up and down axis. We are going to let x equal 0. So it's the opposite of the axis you want to find, or the intercept that you want to find. Now, we want to find one additional point because ultimately, just like we did in the last video tutorial, if we make a mistake, there's very little to catch that mistake if we are not finding another point that falls on this line. So we're going to do that, and we're just going to let x equal another number, all right? And this could really be any other number. We want to pick a number that works for us, and what I mean by that is some of the things we've talked about already. We might want to pick a number that goes with a denominator. We might want to pick a number that, is small, isn't negative. We can't pick 0 because obviously that one has already been picked to find the y-intercept, but maybe I pick 1, maybe I don't pick 1 because maybe 1 gives us a fraction answer. Maybe I just take a shot in the dark and pick any number and plug it in my calculator and, give it a go. So let's look at what this looks like in practice. I will say this, again, getting back to that muscle memory piece of this, you want to do this as methodically as possible. So I don't have a lot of routines in my life. If you look, just a glimpse, this would be something I would tell you in class. You don't get to know me as well online. Some of you who have had me do know me a little bit better because you have that rapport with me. The one area that I very, very much follow routines is when I do math. I don't know why. Maybe that is, if any of you are studying psychology, there's a reason if you psychoanalyze me for that. I don't have a lot of things that I'm very methodical about in my life, except for when it comes to doing math. That said, if you look at this first question, you will see me do this in a way where I do it the same way every time. I'm not saying you have to do it my way, but I'm saying if you come up with a way that works for you, you do you. Okay? But you want to come up with a way that works for you, and you want to do it that way every time so that your brain, that muscle, it becomes second nature, where practice does make permanent, and it does become something where, practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent. So looking at this, I'm going to do a line underneath. I'm going to separate this into 3 kind of compartments. The first, I'm going to find the x-intercept. Second, I'm going to find the y-intercept. Third, I'm going to find my other point. Now, in order to find my x-intercept, I'm going to let y equal 0. In order to find my y-intercept, I'm going to let x equal 0. And in order to find my other point, I'm going to let x equal some other number. This is the only one that I'm going to kind of let hang because I don't know what I want to plug in there yet. So I'm going to, and I actually had to start this video over because I messed up. And you probably would have caught me if we had been in class, and it would have been an easy fix, but it wasn't on video recording. So here we are. I'm going to create my template, meaning, and you've seen me do this over and over again, I'm going to write my equation with my variables pulled out and my numbers in place. And I'm going to do that in all 3 spots. Hopefully I did it right this time. Okay, now here in this one I'm plugging in the y. Here I'm plugging in the x. And here I'm also plugging in the x, right? I just don't know what I'm plugging in for that third one. So for the first one, for y, I am plugging in 0. For x, I don't have anything, so I have to replace the x with an x. And then I have to keep going with it. So 5 times 0 is 0, minus 3x equals 15. I need to get my river, I need to get my line so that I can solve my equation. The 0 drops out, I get negative 3x equals 15, and I can continue solving this equation. You see how equations come up in everything now. X equals negative 5. I have an ordered pair. My x is negative 5, my y is 0. Asking where I'm getting those, well, my answer, my negative 5 came from here, my 0 came from up here, which was given to me in my notes all the way up here, right? Now, for my y-intercept, I know that I'm plugging a 0 in for my x, and I don't have anything for my y. I don't have anything to substitute, so I have to plug my y back in, and now I have to solve it. So I have 5y minus 0, because 3 times 0 equals 15. Again, line down my equal sign. I have 5y, my 0 drops out, equals 15. I solve, I get y equals 3. I'm writing it as an ordered pair. I get 0, 3. If you're asking me where I got that from, I have x equals 0, y equals 3. I knew my x equaled 0 because that's what my notes told me I had to have. Now, for my other point, I don't really know what's going to work or what's not going to work for this one, so I'm just going to let x equal 1. So I plug a 1 in here. I don't have a y, so I have 5y minus 3 equals 15, because 3 times 1. And this is an equation where I have to add 3 to both sides. I get 5y equals 18. I divide both sides by 5, and I get y equals 18 over 5. This isn't exactly pretty, okay? Now, if I look, I have 1 comma 18 over 5. Sorry, I'm hitting buttons. I'm hoping it's not messing this up. All right, 18 over 5. This, it's not a huge deal because I have other nice points to work with, but ultimately 18 over 5, if I plug that in my calculator, I'm between 3 and 4. You'll see how this comes in handy in a minute. So let's plot my other points. Negative 5, 0 is over here, and I knew it was an x-intercept, so this fits because it should be on my x-axis. 0, 3 is up 3, and it was a y-intercept, so again, this all is fitting. And now I have this third point, which says I should be over 1, up between 3 and 4. So over 1 and between 3 and 4. So somewhere right there. Does that fit with my line? It does. So that means my other 2 points are right on. And I'm good to go. All right, let's do my next one. Again, I'm going to make my 3 compartments. I'm doing x-intercept, y-intercept, other point. Y equals 0, x equals 0, x equals something. Creating my template. Plugging in. And I'll go ahead and pick now. I'm going to pick 1 again. Oh, no. Sorry. I'm going to pick 1 again. So if I pick 1, I'm going to plug it in for x, and I don't have my y. So now I'm ready to go. So I have 3x plus 0 equals 6. 3x, the 0 drops out, equals 6. Divide both sides by 3, and I get x equals 2. If I look for my ordered pair, I have 2, 0. Over here, I have 0 plus y equals 6. The 0 drops out. I get y equals 6. If I look at my ordered pair, I have 0, 6. You just have to be careful about the order because, again, one you're solving for x, the other you're solving for y. You want to make sure that your letters get put in the correct order. Your ordered pairs are always x, y. Last one, you have 3 plus y equals 6. Subtract 3 from both sides. You get y equals 3. And again, just be careful with this point because this one is 1, 3. So plotting your 3 points, we have 2, 0, which is your x-intercept, 0, 6, which is your y-intercept, and 1, 3, which is your other point, which is your check, which works. And your not so straight maybe line to check your work. All right, looking at this one. We have our x-intercept, we have our y-intercept, and we have our other point. So we have y equals 0, we have x equals 0, and we have x equals some number. We'll choose in a minute. Writing my template, 2, 3, 3. Gonna put those parentheses in for my variables for all of them. And then I'm gonna go ahead and place what I can. So I'm replacing the y here, I'm replacing the x here, and I'm replacing the x here. And again, sometimes it's just good to keep track of what you're substituting. And I can pick my point. Let's just go with 1. I went for it all the other times. Whoops. Okay. So I have 2x plus 0 equals 3. 2x equals 3. Divided by 2, divided by 2. I get x equals 3 over 2. Now, it's not pretty, but it's not terrible. I'm going to get 3 over 2, comma 0. And remember, that's like saying 1.5. I just make a mental note so that when I graph it, I know I'm between 1 and 2, right? For this middle one, I'm going to get 0 plus 3y equals 3. 3y equals 3. So y equals 1 because I've divided both by 3. So my ordered pair is 0, 1. And then over here for my other point, I'm going to get 2 plus 3y equals 3. Subtract 2 from both sides. I get 3y equals 1. I divide both sides by 3. And I get y equals 1 over 3. So my ordered pair is going to be 1, 1/3. That's not pretty. And again, that's between 0 and 1. Again, because this is just a double check, it doesn't need to be nice. We just need to know, is it sitting on the line? So our x-intercept is going to be between 1 and 2, right here. Our y-intercept is going to be up 1. And if we did it right, our other point should be out 1 and up just a little bit. And that looks about right. Not the prettiest, but it happens. So go back through, try some on your own. Let me know how it goes.